He doesn't just watch the market, he is the market. People give him equity out of respect. In his last life, he was himself. He is the most knowledgeable man in the world.
I don't always invest, but when I do, it's in the future. Stay dangerous, my friends. October 16, 1995. A million black men come together for nonviolence, unity, and togetherness. At the height of the crack epidemic, at the height of gang violence, at the height of the worst murder race that this country has seen, a million black men came together for unity without one negative incident. There was no social media. There was no internet, no text messages. Most people didn't even have cell phones. And a million black men from around the world traveled to one place for one goal. That was the Million Man March. Now, most people today don't even know that that happened. If you do know it happened, what you have to be asking yourself is, what was the result? What did they do after that? If it was that positive, what happened in the following years? The answer to that and what happened is that the federal government responded to this in a way that will basically destroy our community and our culture for the next 30 years. Now, what I want you to do is go back and listen to the music from 1995. Listen to what was going on in the charts. Listen to what we were talking about. Now, for the most part, we weren't talking about killing each other, selling drugs, doing drugs, not in a meaningful way. Even the gangster rappers at that time had a foundational message rooted in the community. Go listen to NWA. Go listen to Tupac. Listen to what he was really talking about. Now, in that same year, 1995, two interesting things happened. The first is that in preparation for the Million Man March, the ruler of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, was about to give Minister Farrakhan $1 billion to help the black community. That gift was rejected by our federal government. And that was 30 years ago. Imagine what that could have done. The second thing that happened is the infamous hip hop meeting in 1995 that everybody talks about. Now, I don't have to get into conspiracy theories, but the rumored meeting, which has been spoken about multiple times by multiple people over the years, was supposedly between record executives, government agents, high-level music moguls, and artists and gatekeepers in hip-hop. They were there to focus on one goal, the promotion and profit of self-destructive music. The goal was to gain more money, more power, and get psychological control over our community. Now, this is my theory. And this is where I have to educate you on the 90s in history. In 1990, the number one rap song in the world was Fight the Power by Public Enemy. That's a revolutionary song. Back then, we was wearing African patches. People used to have rap ciphers and dance battles against each other in school. There wasn't always this beef and tension in our communities. And our music was a form of expression against the oppressor, not against each other. And even at the height of the crack epidemic, in the worst murder rates in the 1990s, and now we know that that was done to us on purpose. But even in the midst of all of that, we had a clear sense of community. And our music was galvanizing both us and the world. And so think about the fact that we had an entire government against hip hop. Do you know that you used to get arrested for rapping bad lyrics on stage? And in 1994, Two Live Crew won a Supreme Court case against the federal government that allowed them the right to say whatever they want on record and on stage. And so I believe in the midst of that, in the midst of the Million Man March, in the midst of the truce between the Crips and the Bloods, which is another thing that people don't talk about, I believe they didn't believe hip hop would last. But once they realized the power of our music and how it was shaping us, even in the midst of all of this to come together, I believe that they made a decision that they need to control our voice. And in 1995, when that decision was made, you can see a clear line between how we express ourselves and how our music was expressed and filtered for us. And basically, for the last 30 years, the message has been on repeat: kill, destroy, take, distrust. And it has created a seed within our own communities of hate and distrust. But I promise you, I'm old enough to know that it was not always like that. This genre of music was not always the dominant thing in our culture. We did not always treat one another the way that we do today. And we have to understand how propaganda in psychology works. These things are not done by accident. You don't just wake up one day feeling a certain way. But if the soundtrack to your life is on repeat day in and day out, and it is negative towards your brother, it is negative towards your own, it is telling you to distrust everything around you, it is telling you to seek these things for pleasure, and that is on repeat, that is going to take psychological control over your mind. And then it takes over a culture. And then it shapes the outcomes that they want to have. And so, not even 11 months after the Million Man March, Tupac gets killed, Biggie gets killed 7 months later, and the whole world focuses attention on East Coast, West Coast beef. And we're not thinking about unity anymore. Now, suddenly, our music becomes confrontational. Now, suddenly, our music becomes something against one another and not against our oppressor. Now, suddenly, the way we express ourselves, right, is through money and materialistic goods and focusing on how much we can get. See, you have what they call your conscious mind, and then you have your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind may say, you know what, man, I like this beat. I like this hook. I like this song. But your subconscious mind is receiving the message. And if the message is fuck that hoe, fuck that nigga, sell that dope, hit that lick, pop that pill, shoot that boy, you understand what I'm saying? And that has been on repeat for the past 30 years. And we have manifested our own destruction with words that made other people billions of dollars. And since that time, we have not owned the thing that we've created. And so, how do we get it back? How do we take back control of that? That's what Melanomics is about. Melanomics is a movement. It is a collective movement to protect ourselves and seek economic independence in our community. But see, we keep trying to start from the top. We think that a law passed or a strategy done or money funded here is going to change our collective circumstances. We think that those things can get us out of our hole, but it's not until we change ourselves. And so, in order for us to do that collectively, what we first have to do is agree on a set of standards and principles in how we interact with one another, and how we conduct ourselves, and how we do business with one another, and how we handle our economics, both within our families and within our own communities. And once we agree on those set of standards and principles, now the goal is to collectively create a shield of protection over what we already have, both as it grows and on how we pass it to the next generation. Right? Because it's good, right, for the top 10, top 5% to do well, but that's not enough if so many of us are struggling. And so we have to move with collective thought in how we deal with our communities. And that principle is rooted in Melanomics. We got to reverse all of this stuff, right? This stuff has been done to us methodically. Billions of dollars has been spent in government funding to specifically destroy our communities. So we have to reverse this stuff. It's not an easy process, but it starts within. Change begins from within, and the person that hurt you cannot heal you. And regardless of everything that they've done to us, they are powerless in healing those wounds. No amount of money is going to heal it, right? The money is a separate thing, but we have to heal our mind so that we think with collective thought, so that we can protect ourselves from people who are not showing themselves as our enemy, but methodically destroying our communities. And I always think about the movie 300. And the reason why I think it's so relevant is because 300 men were able to defend themselves and defeat tens of thousands of men, not because they were stronger than them. They were clearly outmanned, but they were able to do it because their process required cohesion. Their process required that they be connected at all times. And the more that they were connected, the more that they were protected, because their shield could not be penetrated regardless of how many spears they shot at them. They were impenetrable. And so they were able to attack and not be attacked. And so even if it feels like we are outnumbered or we are outmanned or we're in the minority or we don't have as many resources, my point in saying that is that if we have cohesive thought and cohesive action, nothing that they're trying to do to us is going to work. And we can protect ourselves from all of that, and then we can go on offense. And the only reason that that 300 was defeated was because of betrayal. And so, that speaks for itself, and how we treat one another and how we interact with one another and whether or not we are trustworthy to ourselves. If I can't trust my brother, then with whom shall I confide? They infiltrate our culture with a manufactured vibe and pay the ones we idolize to keep us in the blind, then give us just enough that it'll keep us on the grind. But how can I succeed when I'm just trying to stay alive?
If God is for us, then who is against us?
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think a man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think a man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top. Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot. Buy back your block, real estate and stocks. Stack what you got, hold down your spot. Strike while you hot and think the man up top.
Conspiracy or not, strategize and plot.